Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on adding a background and environmental lighting to a render in Rhino 7. This video will be following on from the initial video looking at how to set up a render in Rhino 7, and this was the resulting image we had from that video. As you can see, it's quite grayscale. We've got a very sort of black and white lighting at the moment, and what we'll be looking at in this video is how to add a more sort of natural environmental light to give us a kind of bluer light based on a sky and an environment that will surround our scene. Now to set this up, I'm going to close down my preview and go to the render and render properties here. Once that's loaded up, we're going to scroll down to the backdrop, and under the backdrop we're going to select a 360 environment for our backdrop. Now we're going to use the default Studio 360 environment. You can add new ones in here, but for now we're just going to use the studio setup, and we're going to edit this to add in our own background image into this environment. So if we select the pencil tool here, this allows us to edit that environment, and we're going to go down to background image, and where it says Rhino Studio we're going to click on these three dots here and load in our own image into this map. So I've got these spherical environmental images, and these could be an HDRI or just a JPEG image file, which we can use as a sphere to map around our environment to give us this overall environmental lighting. So I'm going to select this one here and load it in. And I'll put some links in the description of this video of where you can download free versions of these spherical maps to use in your own projects. So with that loaded in, you can see now that this preview has now taken on some of the colours, and these objects here are kind of giving us a little preview of what this will look like in our render. And it's now got these blue tones based upon this image. The next thing we want to do is, because this is a spherical environment that's going to surround our scene, and you can kind of see in this little icon here next to the basic environment how this works. It's basically mapped as a dome around the top of our image. So we want our image to be properly kind of wrapping around, and to do that we need to change the projection here to a spherical projection there. And you can see there in the preview, we can see the clouds and it's projecting nicely. We still got those colours. So that's the projection sorted, and we can hit OK there. Now that's been applied. Now it's good to check that you're using these custom environments for reflections as well, because when we start to add in glass and reflective materials, we want them to reflect these environments we're putting in scene. With that set, we're also going to turn back on the skylights here, and we're just going to make sure it's using that studio setup as well. So all of these, the backdrop, the reflections and the skylight, are all using that same image map to help light up and give us those environmental lighting in our scene. That's now been set, so we can hit OK, and we're going to load up another render preview to see how that's affected our scene. So I'm just going to go to render and render preview to render it out to see what changes we have to our lighting. This is now loaded up, and you can see these kind of blue tones that have come into the image now. We've got this nice background blue sky. We've got a kind of environmental lighting that's given all these shadows a nice blue tint as well. That's made it look much more natural feeling and a lot more kind of realistic in sense of the lighting. This is kind of taking it away from being that very stark black and white grayscale image to a much more natural feel. Now when I sort of render out the full image and we might work into it in Photoshop, I might sort of extend the sky and replace it, but for now it's giving us this nice environmental lighting that we're looking for. So that was a very quick tutorial on how to add environmental lighting to a scene in Rhino 7. Thank you for watching.